But let's discuss earnings. Ankit Mehta, the CEO at Ideaforge, joins in on the show right now. Ankit, hi, good morning. Good to have you on ET Now and wish you a very happy Diwali, first of all, from all of us here.
Thank you. Same to you guys. Thanks for having
Thanks.
us here.
Okay. Ankit, walk us through how your quarter has been because from what I see, there's been a revenue dip of about 41% on a year-on-year basis. What's led to this kind of degrowth?
I had mentioned this in our previous calls as well, and during the earnings call, is that, our revenue is largely determined by the delivery schedules that we have with our end customers and their, processes in terms of when they want the deliveries. So largely last quarter has gone into building the necessary inventories for some of the orders that you see in our order book. And whatever deliveries were due in the quarter, we have been able to successfully deliver them, and we are gearing up for the other set of deliveries.
Okay, so tell me about your order book because from what I understand, it's currently at about 253 odd crore rupees. What is the time frame within which all these orders are going to, get executed, and what's the delivery pipeline looking like for the second half of the fiscal?
So the orders that we have received in the previous quarter, typically most of our orders come, particularly the long-term orders, come with a delivery timeline of about uh, a year or so. And therefore, based on the delivery schedules that are mentioned within the contracts, we will be delivering them. Some of the deliveries will happen prior to the end of that 1 year period, but some of those deliveries will happen closer to that as well.
Right, okay. So just give us a sense as to which segments the orders are coming from and what your client confidence is looking like.
A lot of our orders are coming in from the defense sector, which we have mentioned in the key orders that we had released also and informed the markets about. In terms of, overall mix, if you see, in the last quarter, we saw that the civil part of our business had a better contribution than it was in the previous quarter. So that ways, the civil opportunities are also picking up in terms of pace towards the latter half of the year. However, we have to be conscious that the defense opportunities are much larger and more chunky. So therefore, whether the percentage will play out in the same way or not is something that we will have to see based on the closure of opportunities and deliveries in this next 2 quarters.
When you say your order book has to be measured or revenue has to be measured in the way how the deliveries are done. So is there a pattern which could be at play that first half is better than second half is better than first half, or it needs to be viewed independently?
It has to be viewed independently because if you see like even the Q1 and Q2, the consistency is not trackable Q on Q and year on year at this point in time. What happens is, and the particular reason for that is, for example, we get an order where we have to make a chunky delivery where the entire order, and it's a large order, has to be made in a single shot. So we have to prepare that inventory for a decently long period of time. And once the inventory is prepared, we have to invite the customer for inspections, and then the deliveries are made to the end customer. So, wherever there is a order where there is a larger chunk to be delivered in a single lot, you will see that lumpiness. And therefore, depending on each opportunity and how the customer has envisaged their deliveries, things do end up being a little lumpy and slightly less predictable in the short term, particularly when the overall size of the business is as where it is today.
Your space is exciting, but it's a space where every week, forget every week actually, every alternate day, I get a company which is entering into drones, which perhaps seems to be, doing something different. It's a very high growth area, but everybody wants to have their, presence in that space. So how would you be ensuring that you remain an innovator and you're not challenged by the current disruptors?
So what happens in the space is very interesting, right? And I have mentioned this earlier in the previous times when we were looking at explaining of what the nature of the business is. What happens in drones is that you have drones of many categories and many types. Like, for example, there is a drone that you can use to spot adversary in a house that is probably right in front of you, maybe 100 meters away, then that same house, let's say for example, or the same target has to be looked at from 5 kilometers away also, because before you get to 100 meters, you want to have intelligence that the what is the actual status on ground, and then that same asset has to be looked at times from a much larger distance away, and sometimes to even identify that this is the target that we have to track, you have to look at it sometimes from many hundreds of kilometers away as well, where the takeoff location is. So depending on where and what is the operational scenario, uh, a lot of changes happen in terms of the equipment, the size of the equipment, the nature of the asset. For example, there are assets which are like kamikaze drones, where the asset itself as a drone goes and attacks a target. Then there are platforms that are looking at dropping the munition, particularly in a defense scenario. So there is a fairly wide range of applications for which drones can be built, and then civil side is an even larger category of drones that can be required, because there is mapping that has to be done sometimes with the lidar, sometimes with multispectral sensors, hyperspectral sensors. You're doing regular mapping, you're doing delivery operations, you're doing spraying operations. So a fairly diverse set of applications exist. What we do at Ideaforge is we pick particularly large operating segments within this, where the core strengths of our business, which is building high performance, reliable, and autonomous drones, plays really well for the customer's requirements and needs as well. We tend to play on those sectors, and in those sectors we tend to build systems which are world class. In most cases, we have products that have performance numbers with respect to certain specifications better than anybody else out there. So we are defining what benchmarks have to be set for those particular categories, and that's where we excel. And a lot of our innovation, the patents that we file, goes in the direction of pushing the boundaries of what's possible in many of those categories. And as we build new categories that we have stated as a part of our strategy, such as the tactical drone category, which is a new category we are building, the middle mile logistics drone category, the traditional strength that Ideaforge has also lends in very, very well with respect to those applications, and how our strengths in building the technology in this way will come into play there as well.
All right. Thank you for sharing with us your growth outlook as well as views on the company. That's the word coming in from Ideaforge.